Good morning. Let's begin our service by singing hymn number 40. Come, ye disconsolate, where'er ye languish. Here health and peace are found, life, truth, and love. Here bring your wounded hearts. Here tell your anguish. Earth has no sorrow, but love can remove. Hymn number 40. The scriptural this morning will be given by Linda from Pennsylvania.
Good morning. I'm going to be reading from the King James Bible, 1 Corinthians 13. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not charity, I am become as a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, and have not charity, it profiteth me nothing. Charity suffereth long, and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Charity never faileth. But whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity.
We will now have a moment of silent prayer and follow with the Lord's Prayer and its spiritual interpretation as given in the Christian Science textbook. Our Father, which art in heaven. Our Father, Mother, God, all harmonious. Hallowed be thy name. Adorable One. Thy kingdom come. Thy kingdom is come. Thou art ever present. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Enable us to know, as in heaven, so on earth, God is omnipotent, supreme. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us grace for today. Feed the famished affections, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And love is reflected in love. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And God leadeth us not into temptation, but delivereth us from sin, disease, and death. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. For God is infinite, all power, all life, truth, love, over all and all. Let's sing hymn number 105. Help us to help each other, Lord, each other's cross to bear. Let each his friendly aid afford, and feel his brother's care. Hymn number 105. Welcome to the Sunday morning service of the Plainfield Christian Science Church Independent. We have members and participants from all over the world, and you can find us on our website, plainfieldcs.com. You can find us on YouTube, where we have well over 1,500 audio and video selections of services, songs, articles, and hymns. And you can also find us on SoundCloud, Facebook, and Twitter. Our website has many articles that will help in virtually any situation you could find yourself. If you are finding it difficult to let go of the past and to look forward, there is an article entitled Day by Mary Baker Eddy that is featured on the front page of our website that you will find very helpful. I also want to mention that our magazine, Love is the Liberator, in the July edition you will find many articles about our God-given liberties and what we must do to preserve our God-given liberties. We begin each Sunday morning at 10 o'clock with a roundtable discussion, which is a training session in Christian Science for those who are serious about learning who and what God is and what that means for each of us. Every Wednesday evening at 8:15, we have a testimony meeting where you can hear testimonies of healings and lives changed through the study and practice of Christian Science. Also, at 11 o'clock on Sunday, we have a Sunday school for children of all ages. And that Sunday school is also conducted via teleconference, so that if you have a child and if you don't live in the area and would like to attend our Sunday school, please call the church and we'll give you the number, and your child will be most welcome. And you can listen to all of our services either on our website, on YouTube, or from your telephone via another teleconference number that we provide. And for all of our services, we have a nursery available for the very, very young. And we love to take care of the very young. So everyone is welcome here. And that includes all of you who are listening and participating from around the world. And now we will have the reading of a testimony from the chapter entitled Fruitage in Science and Health, which attests to the healing power obtained just by reading the Christian Science textbook. And that reading this morning will be given by Pilar from New York.
Page 696. Fibroid tumor destroyed. When quite young, I was impressed that the Bible was not properly interpreted by the preachers, for I could not conceive of a God of wrath who was unjust enough to allow his little ones to suffer pain, misery, and death. I had hope, however, that someday the truth would be revealed to an awakening world. But little did I dream that even then there was one of God's noble women who reflected sufficient purity and holiness to entertain the angel of his presence and commune with the true God. I was believed to be predisposed to scrofula, so that I was not a strong or attractive child, and my girlhood and womanhood were scarcely ever free from dread of the loss of matter and lack of strength. The climax was reached when a physician informed me, after weeks of treatment, that I had a fibroid tumor, which required an operation. The conditions were most trying, and I was heartsick and discouraged when in January of 1893, I heard of Christian Science through a letter from a dear sister who had been greatly benefited thereby, and I resolved to go at once to a practitioner, for I believe it to be a long-lost truth that would make me free. It meant a great effort and sacrifice for me to go to Chicago at that time. But divine love opened the way, and I reached there in March. I had been in my sister's home for a few days, reading Science and Health almost constantly, when I asked her if I had not better have treatment for the tumor, which had given me so much trouble. She said to me, "You feel well, do you not?" I assure her that I never had felt so well as I had since reaching there. "Well," she said with decision, "your tumor is gone, for God never made it." And her statements were true, for it has never been heard of from that day. Since then, I have been healed of chronic sore throat, hay fever, and other troubles, and I know that Christian Science is the truth. BWS, Coldwater, Michigan.
The lesson sermon for this morning can be found on page 10 of the Independent Christian Science Quarterly. The subject, love. The golden text is from Leviticus. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. The responsive reading is from Ephesians. I, therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you, that ye walk worthy of the vocation wherewith ye are called, with all lowliness and meekness, with long-suffering, forbearing one another in love, endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. Wherefore, putting away lying, speak every man truth with his neighbor, for we are members one of another. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath, neither give place to the devil. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you, with all malice. And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you. Farrelly from Maryland will read from the Bible.
The Holy Bible. 1 John. He that loveth his brother abideth in the light, and there is none occasion of stumbling in him. Proverbs. There is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. 1 Samuel. And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David. And Jonathan loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was upon him, and gave it to David. And his garments, even to his sword, and to his bow, and to his girdle. And David went out whithersoever Saul sent him, and behaved himself wisely. And Saul set him over the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all the people. And Saul was afraid of David, because the Lord was with him, and was departed from Saul. And Saul spake to Jonathan his son, and to all his servants, that they should kill David. But Jonathan, Saul's son, delighted much in David. And Jonathan told David, saying, Saul my father seeketh to kill thee. Now therefore I pray thee, take heed to thyself until the morning, and abide in a secret place, and hide thyself. And Jonathan spake good of David unto Saul his father, and said unto him, Let not the king sin against his servant, against David, because he hath not sinned against thee, and because his works have been to theeward very good. And Saul hearkened unto the voice of Jonathan, and Saul sware, As the Lord liveth, he shall not be slain. And Jonathan called David, and Jonathan showed him all those things. And Jonathan brought David to Saul, and he was in his presence as in times past. And the evil spirit from the Lord was upon Saul, as he sat in his house with his javelin in his hand. And David played with his hand. And Saul sought to smite David even to the wall with the javelin. But he slipped away out of Saul's presence, and he smote the javelin into the wall. And David fled and escaped that night. And David abode in the wilderness in strongholds. And Jonathan, Saul's son, arose and went to David into the wood, and strengthened his hand in God. And it came to pass, when Saul was returned from following the Philistines, that it was told him, saying, Behold, David is in the wilderness of En-gedi. Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of all Israel, and went to seek David and his men upon the rocks of the wild goats. And he came to the sheepcotes by the way, where was a cave, and Saul went in to cover his feet. And David and his men remained in the sides of the cave. And the men of David said unto him, Behold, the day of which the Lord said unto thee, Behold, I will deliver thine enemy into thine hand, that thou mayest do to him as it shall seem good unto thee. Then David arose and cut off the skirt of Saul's robe privily. And it came to pass afterward that David's heart smote him, because he had cut off Saul's skirt. And he said unto his men, The Lord forbid that I should do this thing unto my master. So David stayed his servants with these words, and suffered them not to rise against Saul. But Saul rose up out of the cave and went on his way. And when Saul looked behind him, David stooped with his face to the earth and bowed himself. And David said to Saul, Wherefore hearest thou men's words, saying, Behold, David seeketh thy hurt? Behold, this day thine eyes have seen how that the Lord had delivered thee today unto mine hand in the cave, and some bade me kill thee. But mine eye spared thee. And I said, I will not put forth mine hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed. And it came to pass, when David had made an end of speaking these words unto Saul, that Saul said, Is this thy voice, my son David? And Saul lifted up his voice and wept. And he said to David, "Thou art more righteous than I, for thou hast rewarded me good, whereas I have rewarded thee evil. And now behold, I know well that thou shalt surely be king, and that the kingdom of Israel shall be established in thine hand." Matthew. And Jesus went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues. And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain. And when he was set, his disciples came unto him, and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Ye have heard that it hath been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor, and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. John. If ye keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments, and abide in his love. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth. But I have called you friends. For all things that I have heard of my Father, I have made known unto you. Jude. Keep yourselves in the love of God, looking for the mercy of our Lord Jesus Christ unto eternal life.
Florence from Georgia will now read.
I will read correlative passages from our textbook, Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. God is love. He is therefore the divine infinite principle called person or God. Man's true consciousness is in the mental, not in any bodily or personal likeness to spirit. Man is idea, the image of love. The letter of science plentifully reaches humanity today, but its spirit comes only in small degrees. The vital part, the heart and soul of Christian science is love. Without this, the letter is but the dead body of science, pulseless, cold, inanimate. Divine love always has met and always will meet every human need. It is not well to imagine that Jesus demonstrated the divine power to heal only for a select number or for a limited period of time, since to all mankind and in every hour, divine love supplies all good. The miracle of grace is no miracle to love. Jesus demonstrated the inability of corporeality as well as the infinite ability of spirit, thus helping erring human sense to flee from its own convictions and seek safety in divine science. understanding, even in a degree, of the divine all-power destroys fear and plants the feet in the true path, the path which leads to the house built without hands, eternal in the heavens. Human hate has no legitimate mandate and no kingdom. Love is enthroned. That evil or matter has neither intelligence nor power is the doctrine of absolute Christian science, and this is the great truth which strips all disguise from error. Love for God and man is the true incentive in both healing and teaching. Love inspires, illumines, designates, and leads the way. Right motives give pinions to thought and strength and freedom to speech and action. Love is priestess at the altar of truth. Wait patiently for divine love to move upon the waters of mortal mind and form the perfect concept. Patience must have her perfect work. Remember that the letter and mental argument are only human auxiliaries to aid in bringing thought into accord with the spirit of truth and love which heals the sick and the sinner. God selects for the highest service one who has grown into such a fitness for it as renders any abuse of the mission an impossibility. The All-Wise does not bestow his highest trust upon the unworthy. When he commissions a messenger, it is one who is spiritually near himself. No person can misuse this mental power if he is taught of God to discern it. This strong point in Christian Science is not to be overlooked, that the same fountain cannot send forth both sweet waters and bitter. The higher your attainment in the science of mental healing and teaching, the more impossible it will become for you intentionally to influence mankind adverse to its highest hope and achievement. God gives the lesser idea of himself for a link to the greater, and in return, the higher always protects the lower. The rich in spirit help the poor in one grand brotherhood, all having the same principle or Father. And blessed is that man who seeth his brother's need and supplieth it, seeking his own in another's good. With one Father, even God, the whole family of man would be brethren, and with one mind and that God or good, the brotherhood of man would consist of love and truth, and have unity of principle and spiritual power, which constitute divine science. The supposed existence of more than one mind was the basic error of idolatry. This error assumed the loss of spiritual power, the loss of the spiritual presence of life as infinite truth without an unlikeness, and the loss of love as ever-present and universal. Human affection is not poured forth vainly, even though it meet no return. Love enriches the nature, enlarging, purifying, and elevating it. The wintry blasts of earth may uproot the flowers of affection and scatter them to the winds, But this severance of fleshly ties serves to unite thought more closely to God. For love supports the struggling heart until it ceases to sigh over the world and begins to unfold its wings for heaven. Would existence without personal friends be to you a blank? Then the time will come when you will be solitary, left without sympathy. But this seeming vacuum is already filled with divine love. When this hour of development comes, even if you cling to a sense of personal joys, spiritual love will force you to accept what best promotes your growth. Friends will betray and enemies will slander until the lesson is sufficient to exalt you. For man's extremity is God's opportunity. The author has experienced the foregoing prophecy and its blessings. Thus, he teaches mortals to lay down their fleshliness and gain spirituality. This is done through self-abnegation. Universal love is a divine way in Christian Science. When outgrowing the old, you should not fear to put on the new. Your advancing course may provoke envy, but it will also attract respect. Sin makes deadly thrusts at the Christian Scientist as ritualism and creed are summoned to give place to higher law. But science will ameliorate mortal malice. Christianly scientific man reflects the divine law, thus becoming a law unto himself. He does violence to no man, neither is he a false accuser. The Christian Scientist wisely shapes his course and is honest and consistent in following the leadings of divine mind. At all times and under all circumstances, overcome evil with good. Know thyself, and God will supply the wisdom and the occasion for a victory over evil. Clad in the panoply of love, human hatred cannot reach you. The cement of a higher humanity will unite all interests in the one divinity. The weapons of bigotry, ignorance, envy fall before an honest heart. Love is the liberator.
We will now have a moment of silent prayer for our world. Let's now sing hymn number 32. The words of this hymn are by Mary Baker Eddy. Brood o'er us with thy sheltering wing, 'neath which our spirits blend like brother birds that soar and sing, and on the same branch bend. The arrow that doth wound the dove darts not from those who watch and love. Hymn number 32.
that was meant to be.
With God as our Father, brothers all are we. Let me walk with my brother in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And let it begin with me.
Let's now sing hymn number 179. Love one another, word of revelation. Love frees from error's thrall. Love is liberation. Love's way the Master trod. He that loves shall walk with God. Love is the royal way. Hymn number 179.
I will read from the Christian Science textbook, the scientific statement of being, and the correlative passages from 1 John, 3rd chapter. There is no life, truth, intelligence, nor substance in matter. All is infinite mind and its infinite manifestation, for God is all in all. Spirit is immortal truth. Matter is mortal error. Spirit is the real and eternal. Matter is the unreal and temporal. Spirit is God, and man is his image and likeness. Therefore, man is not material. He is spiritual. Behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God. Therefore the world knoweth us not, because it knew him not. Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. And every man that hath this hope in him purifieth himself, even as he is pure. The Lord is good. His mercy is everlasting, and his truth endureth to all generations. Amen.